Hello, Mrs Roulson here from North Lincolnshire Music Service with just a few reminders about cello technique. First of all, think about how you're sitting. You need to have a good chair to start with that's the right height for you. It needs to be at a height so that the top of your thigh is parallel with the floor. And you don't need a chair with a back because we don't use the back of the chair. Sit forward on the chair and just perch on the front edge. So you sat nice and straight and slightly leaning forward, ever so slightly. The cello is leaning slightly over to the right to meet your bowing arm. Okay, so slightly over to that way. It's resting in the centre of your chest here, and then the other 2 points of contact are either side of your knees. So your right knee is towards the front of the cello and your left knee is towards the back of the cello, so it's tilted. So we don't have it straight forward like that, slightly over, okay? The other thing to try and remember is don't try and look at your fingers while you're playing, because if you do that, the cello tends to move further away and it actually makes it harder, and you end up with an achy neck and shoulders trying to do that and looking at your fingers. So keep the cello close in to your body, and when you're playing in first position, your hand should be just about level with your chin and lower cheek, okay, like so. Okay? Right, the other thing is your end pin. If you're playing on a carpet like I am, it's okay, you don't really need anything as long as your parents don't mind you making a hole in your carpets. But if you're on a hard floor, you'll need to have a block with holes in just to make it secure. You don't want the cello running away from you while you're trying to play it. So you need to be in a really comfortable, solid position to start with. Okay? Right, the next thing, holding the bow. Let's have a look at the bow hold. Okay, so this is my bow. It's all loose because I undid it last time I was playing. So first of all, we need to tighten the bow by turning it clockwise until the hair forms a solid ribbon of hair. Don't go too far, that's about enough. The stick should still bend inwards in the middle. Okay, so it should have a nice curve to it. Don't keep tightening and tightening and tightening, it will break. So the gap in the middle between the hair and stick is only very small, and then either end is a lot wider. Okay, like that. Let's have a look at bow hold. Right, I'll just come nearer the camera for this. Here's a pen. Let's do it with a pen first. Okay, so the stick of the bow is just across the back of your fingers, like so. So it's going diagonally from almost the tip of your little finger to the first joint of your index finger, and then your thumb comes to meet the stick here, opposite your second finger, okay? And try and keep your thumb bent. Can you see? And then I will turn it over, and there we have a nice bow hold. Okay, I'll do that with the bow now. So as you can see, this finger is bent round the stick and this one is just hanging over. It's a very loose, relaxed grip, and it should look like this at the other side, okay? And that will allow you to move quite freely and do nice smooth bows. Be careful not to wrap your little finger all the way around, because if you do that, your bow is going to be pointing diagonally downwards. And the other thing is don't end up with your finger straight along there, because that's really going to make it impossible to pull a long bow without going diagonally across the string, okay? So just going over that again, nice loose hand at the front of the bow, and then the thumb is just touching here. Whoops, like so. Okay, right, I'll go and sit down and show you where the bow goes. Can you see? So generally when you're starting, the bow needs to be halfway between the end of the fingerboard and the bridge, about here. And the aim is to try and keep the bow as at a right angle to the strings. Okay, so bowing parallel with the bridge and keep it straight across. You don't want it to go down or go up. You'll end up with scratchy tone and some funny sounds. So be careful to make it go straight across and back again. Okay. So like I was saying earlier, if you had your finger like this, you wouldn't be able to keep the bow straight. So it needs to be pointing this way. So the palm of your hand is open and you should be able to see it from in there. Okay. A little bit of troubleshooting here with the bow now. If you're making a squeaky sound, a couple of things could be the cause of it. If you play too near the bridge, you're going to get squeaks. If you're moving the bow too quickly, you'll get a squeak. If you're getting a croaky sound, okay, like that, not very nice, that's because you're playing too near the fingerboard, or you're not using enough bow. Just if you're going to play near the fingerboard, you need to use a lot of bow. Okay, and all the time keeping your bow straight across. So in order to keep your bow straight, you need to be moving from the shoulder, the elbow and the wrist. I'll just hold the bow. Can you see I'm extending, straightening my arm as I pull the bow across the string and bending. Now I have a bowing simulator which you could make yourselves at home. It's really handy. All it is a piece of dowel with a plastic bottle top screwed into either end and a piece of white pipe. And if I were to put this, it just conveniently fits between the strings. It's best if you get someone else to hold this end really, but you can then move this up and down and it really will give you a good bowing technique, and it follows the track of the bow. If you look, if I put it between the C and the G string, you can see how low I'm bowing down now, down towards the floor, down towards the side of my leg. Another thing to remember is that we play with the hair tilted away from us. So we're playing on the edge of the hair rather than the flat of the hair. Okay, so the bow is tilted with the stick towards you, like so. Okay, not the flat. And that will make a lovely sound. With violinists, if you're used to playing the violin, then it's the other way around. You're tilting it with the hair towards you, and the bow is held more like this with your little finger perched on top, like so. So be careful, especially if you've played the violin before and you're going from violin to cello. So that's the violin bow hold, tilted with the hair towards you. Flat hair, cello hold, stick tilted towards you. Playing on the edge of the hair. Okay? Looking at left hand, just going over playing in first position, you need to have your hand nice and rounded, arched, okay? Fingernails short. I'm sorry if you're wanting to try and grow your fingernails, it's got to be one of the other, cello or long nails. Mine are a little bit long actually now. I keep them as short as I possibly can so that I can play right over on my fingertips. So fingers are curled round and playing on the edges of your fingers. The thumb at the back, don't grip too tight with your thumb. It needs to be quite a gentle grip, probably about level almost with your second finger, not with your first, it's more level with the second, so it's a more balanced grip. If you were going to hold a tennis ball, for example, that's just how you would hold that, with your fingers curved round and your thumb round the back, okay? It's a nice rounded grip. Okay. I think that's just a very quick rundown of the basics. If your cello is lovely and in tune, you can go ahead and get practicing. If it's not, take a look at the video I made earlier, and that's about tuning. It's best if you watch that with an adult, and if you're having any difficulty, you can always call for some assistance. Okay, I hope that's been useful and a reminder about the things you should be doing when you're playing your cello. Okay, have fun, keep practicing. Bye.